The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome inside another week of Running Point. It is Monday, March 27th, 2023. We thank you so much for tuning in today to this wonderful episode of Running Point, brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm gonna put the logo up there so you know where to look. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, make sure to check out Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every day, and we thank them for their constant support and sponsorship of this show. They've been with us since the beginning, and we can't think of a better sponsor. So once again, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, thank you again for your wonderful sponsorship. Got a great show for you today. We're going to have a weekend recap. We do have some stuff to recap, not as much as we wanted to, of course. It was supposed to be opening day for baseball and softball, but that mostly, and I do use that term mostly got X'd by Mother Nature. We had a couple of finals come in, but for the most part, opening day was moved to today. And once again, Mother Nature is showing its teeth a little bit today. We have a lot of games canceled, some games still going on. We're hoping to have opening day for some teams today on the network. Towards the end of the show, we'll get you updated on all that. We still have I want to give it another hour before we make anything because this 1 to 2 hours is always where schools that are trying to hold on for the last minute have to make a decision by. Usually 2 o'clock is that deadline. Like if you're gonna, unless the weather hits late, like if you're gonna cancel, you want to do it by then, because then you obviously have enough time to get the umpires aware and updated and everything like that. So outside of weather that hits like at game time and things like that, the decision is usually made in this 1 to 2 hours. So towards the end of the show, we'll check back in our spreadsheet. We'll let you know of all the games that are canceled tonight, postponed, I should say, and the games that are still happening as of then. And then obviously throughout the day, we'll also keep you updated if anything happens after this show goes off the air. But we still have, like I said, some games that we're hoping that we are able to get on the network tonight. That being said, let's hype. Also, I got to promote that in the interview section of this show, we're going to have a great pre-recorded interview with the head coach of the Columbia softball team, Daryl Kurtz. He's a great guy to talk to. Can't wait for you guys to hear from him in his second year as head coach, third year with the program. He made the move from assistant to head coach last year. Him and his wife kind of flipped responsibility. She became the assistant. He became the head coach. So they both been with the program for enough time to really know the program and be excited about it. And can't wait to let you guys hear that interview a little bit later in the show. But let's get to our weekend recap, and let's start with the All-Star games that happened on Saturday night at YSU. We had the boys All-Star game. We had the girls All-Star game. Girls played first, boys played after. We had 51 schools represented on the girls side. We had 52 schools represented on the boys side. Over 60 total when you combined the two games. Some schools were only represented in the girls game. Some schools were only represented in the boys game, but we had a total of over 60 schools represented on Saturday night. And I will go out on a limb again, like I did on Friday, and say that there is no other All-Star game, at least that I know of, in the state of Ohio that has that many schools represented at once in one place for one game. And we were able to do it. And before we talk about the games and the night and the wonderful memories we made in that gym in that Beagley Center, want to thank all of the people that kind of put it together, all the hard work that went into making that event happen. I think outside of the quantity of games that we're able to put on the network, that All-Star game is like the most important thing that we do on the network, because it is all about showcasing the wonderful student athletes that we get to cover, and letting them know how much that we recognize what they've been able to accomplish, and we get a chance to just say, you're recognized, you are, we know about you, we want you to come and play in our All-Star game. And I think that's why every year we do it, whether it be our softball, our baseball, our volleyball for the first year this year, or our basketball, which is the third year that we've had it. uh, that the kids have just the absolute best time, and they are most appreciative of being invited, because it is an invite all-star game, and it can be anybody. It can be a freshman, it can be a senior, it can be a sophomore, it can be a junior. So you're pulling from a pool of hundreds of players across the YSN family, and we picked you on your team. And um, that's an honor to a lot of these kids, and they went out, they had fun, they represented their own school, they represented their communities, their families, their jerseys. For the seniors, it was the last time that they were able to wear their senior jersey for the most of them. I'm pretty sure that was the last All-Star game on slate. I could be wrong. There could be other All-Star games that some of our seniors are going to decide to play in down the road, but I know the county one already happened. There might be like a North versus, I don't know all the All-Star games. I'm not a fountain of knowledge, but the ones that I know of have already happened. So for the seniors, probably the last time that they'll be able to play in that uniform. And for the underclassmen, just another reason to get excited about next year, and another reason to kind of take another step towards last year. And we'll start with the girls' game when we're breaking down the memories. And one of the things that I love about this All-Star night is the vast comparison between the way both games go, right? And the girls' game, I say it every year, it is, you can't turn the competitiveness off. Like, you can't turn that drive to just go out there and compete off with these kids. And a lot of people are like, yeah, just go out there, have fun, it's just an event. And you say that for about the hour leading up to it. We're just gonna go out, we're just gonna have some fun and play around, and it's, but then, like, when the PA announcer says, "Hey, a half court shot can tie up the game," and you see the other team start to press and start to really, like, get up on defense and say, "You're not getting that." It's just like, come on, you can't do it. I mean, they played great defense. Both teams did. There was not defensive optional. We had a lot of steals, a lot of fast break layups because of great defense, and some blocked shots. I mean, it was awesome to see the basketball talent on the floor work together. I think that was my favorite part of that night, is some of the transactions that happen, or the transition passes, or the no look pass from Peyton Roberts to I believe Abby Davidson. It was like you see those girls that they'd never played together before, or if they have, maybe one season or a handful of seasons in the summer for AAU, but for the most part, these girls have never really played together on the court and on the same team before. And you're seeing they're just in sync almost immediately. It took maybe a half a quarter to see, like, these teams really be in sync with each other. And it was so awesome. You saw so many, like, great passes, and defense, talking on defense and being able to communicate with each other, especially, like I said, when they started pressing to stop a team from getting a half court shot, that we announced that, you hit a shot from this point, no matter what the deficit is, it's an automatic tied game. It's like, when they heard that, it was like, okay, let's step up this defense a little bit. Let's start talking to each other. Let's start pressing. Let's start trapping the corners. It was really awesome to see players that don't play together be able to still pull that kind of stuff off. It wasn't just like um, it wasn't just to stand around and let the girls shoot and let's just see how many points we can put up. It's more of a basketball game on the girls' side. Now, that's what I love about the girls' side, and one of the things that I loved about that night, also talking about it, things are just popping into my head because so much to recollect on, and so much to kind of remember. But one of the awesome things, and me and Noah were talking about in the broadcast, freshman Addison Rhodes. Like, if there were people that were a naysayer or said, yeah, freshman of the year, but she's not gonna stand up with these, like, she was the best player on the floor for the night, and she won the MVP for a reason. If that night didn't get you excited about Addison Rhodes and what she can do for the future of Crestview basketball, then I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else she has to do to prove it to you. She had an incredible season, averaged over 20 points per, um, and won YSN Freshman of the Year because of it. And then she goes on to a stage where it is literally the best players you can find in the YSN family from every team in the YSN family, or almost every team, I should say. And a lot of them she never played against. There were what her conference, but then wonder who she's on the floor with. Point is, a lot of them she never played against. So there's not like a scatter. I know how to beat this defender. I know what this defender. No, there was none of that. It was just I'm better than you, and I can make this shot. She pulled up threes from the NCAA men's range and just was drilling them. It was incredible to watch her this kind of flex on these players and these teams a little bit and show everybody there that like the next 3 years of Crestview basketball, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be fun to watch with Addison Rhodes at the helm. And don't forget, they didn't graduate any seniors, so everybody's coming back from that Crestview team as well. So, yeah, if that wasn't proof in the pudding that Crestview and Addison Rhodes is going to be something to watch the next 3 years, I don't know. You've been living under a rock. I don't know what to tell you. She won the MVP for the girls basketball game. And what a fun night it was. What a great call. I got the chance to call it with Noah Doty, and I said it before. I think it was with Scotty because he asked me what my favorite thing was about calling these All-Star games. And it says you get a little bit of loose. You get a little bit loose. You get to have a little bit more fun with it. You're not worried about hitting every beat of the game. So you don't have to call everything that happens. You get to talk about these players a little bit, juice them up. You just have some fun. And being able to do that with Noah Doty, who I think is one of our great announcers up and coming. It was great to give him that opportunity to call the All-Star game, his first All-Star game that he's been able to call with us. Puts in a lot of work, and me and him called a couple of games on the stretch of the basketball season together, and I look forward to calling a game with him again because he's a great broadcaster. He's a great guy to work with. So I had fun. And then we went down to the boys game where I got more of a court level view of it. I was able to be on the baselines and mingle with people and watch the boys game. And you can't watch the boys game from up high, right? You just don't get you do not get the appreciation of the skill and talent unless you're on the court level and you get to see just how high these guys are flying and just how fast they're going. I feel like you don't get appreciation for how fast they are the further up you go, right? So up from that broadcast booth, I feel like, if I was up there watching it with Sam and Ty, who did a great job calling that game, if I was up there watching it, I don't think I would have had the same appreciation for just how fast these kids were moving from up there as I did like right on the baseline in the corner, being able to just see them bring the ball down half court. And the boys put on a show. I mean, it was what 100 and I can't remember the final score. It was something like it was NBA type thing, 131 to 105, and there was a point when it was just like I think both teams realized, hey, let's just put on a show. Alley oops galore, dunks galore. It was entertainment. That's what this boys basketball All-Star game was. It was the basketball purists will say, well, it's watered down, but it's just guys having fun out there, right? It's just guys being able to show off their skills. A lot of the moves and the dunks and the alley oops they pulled, they would never pull that in the game because they know that it's it's risky. It's not exactly the right thing to do in a game situation when you're trying to win necessarily, but this is stuff that is just fun to watch. It's fan service. It's get your popcorn ready kind of stuff, and that's what these boys live for, right? The ability to go out there and show that I can hit a shot from 30 feet, or I can make this alley oop to a kid that I don't play basketball with as a team. That's what these kids they wanted to go out, and what I got the sense of is they wanted to go out, they wanted to prove themselves a little bit, just be like, I belong on the floor with this kid, and all these, all these medium people have been talking about him all year, but I belong on the floor with him because I just hit a three over him, or some stuff like that. It was all about just kind of these guys being able to go out and show what they're capable of in a setting that allows them to open it up a little bit, right? It's not as structured as a high school basketball game. It's not as, it says, hey, let's just go out there and show everybody exactly what we can do. And man, did we have a lot of talent on the floor. I know we're not new to the Hoban basketball team, but it was my first time seeing the Hoban boys live. And oh my, Will Scott Jr.'s ball handling ability, being able to see it right on the floor level live. Like I said, you don't get an appreciation for it if you're watching it on camera as you do as you're watching it right in front of you on the court level. It was some of the moves that he was able to make. It was just like, oh my word. And then of course, his two teammates, Andrew Griffith and Logan Bowles, they showed off. State champions. We were happy to be able to represent 3 state champions on the team. And then, of course, we got to thank Coach TK Griffith for being able to come down from Akron to be able to coach in this All-Star game. It was so awesome to be able to have state champions on the floor, on the bench, and on the floor. And then, of course, got to thank the other coaches, both sides. Want to thank the coaches. This was a strictly volunteer thing. Some of them it was a little bit more last minute, and some of them it was, hey, we asked them about a month ago. But both of those sides of the coin, they were more than willing to do it. They had a lot of fun themselves. Coach Blatch, Coach Riccatelli from Boardman, Coach Lavelle Turnage from Badger, and Coach Randy Vinsel from Edgewood all did a fantastic job in making sure that everyone had the experience they were supposed to have. And then on the boys' side, our coach of the year, TJ Irons. And then we had Josh Upshire, and of course we had TK Griffith, and then of course Tristan Reynolds from East Palestine. That was a great moment as well to be able to have him, who's put in a lot of work this year as a first-year head coach. Not a lot of first-year head coaches getting asked to coach All-Star games, but Tristan Reynolds gets that honored because we know exactly what he's all about. So it was fun to see that kind of thing. It was the spectrum, right? You had a state champion, then you had a guy who was coaching as his first year as a varsity head coach, and I'm sure there was some molding of the minds, right? I bet if you asked Tristan, like, I bet he picked the brain of TK Griffiths just a little bit. Like, why wouldn't you? I bet every coach there picked his brain a little bit. He's been doing it for a long time down there at Hoban. So he's closing in on 600 wins as a coach. So he's been doing it for a while. He is fully impressive. Everything about that night went off so smoothly. Thank you to the Beagley Center for letting us have it. It was a step up in the atmosphere, I should say, and it was one of those ones where I felt like there were more people there. We were able to raise a lot of money for both 50/50 sales, and obviously the gate sales. Everything went up to brighten up for kids. That was a great moment to be able to give them a lot of money and to donate our money and time for their cause. Um, And I hope I'm not missing missing anything. If you have a memory of that night, we'd still love to hear it. Like, post a picture, tag YSN in on social media. Um, we had the photo booth set up, and a lot of people were taking advantage of that fully. I actually encouraged some people. I was like, hey, they were taking pictures like right next to it. I was like, hey, come on, no one else has this YSN setup. Like, make sure people know you were at the YSN All-Star game, right? So, yeah, it was a great night, and we thank everyone for being able to come. We thank the student athletes for participating and coming out and showing off. We thank the coaches. We thank Youngstown State and the Beagley Center for being wonderful hosts, and we thank all of our workers, which are announcers, which are people that kind of took their time to come help us out too. So we thank them, and then I want to also thank the cleanup staff of YSU. Obviously, they were putting in time that was extra. They were able to do a great job keeping that place up. I don't know why I just said up like 5 times. My brain just like melted. But what a great night. All-Star game. Can't wait for the next one. So keep your heads up. We'll get out of this rain. We'll have a great spring season, and then we'll have another All-Star game for baseball and softball before you know it. It's a great event to have. I want to go into the recaps of the 2 games that we were able to have last night over the weekend on Saturday. We did get 2 games in. The first one was a softball game. Our first spring final of the season came out of Archbishop Hoban. The softball team was unfortunately victims to a 4-3 loss to the Maslin Perry Panthers. This was a really good softball game. You look at the box score real quick. Perry took the early 2-0 lead after 2 innings, 1 run in each of the first 2. Hoban came back and tied it 2-2 in the bottom of the 4th. And then Perry answered right back with a run in the top of the 5th. Hoban came right back, answered in the bottom of the inning with another run. So it was tied up at 3 again. And then the Panthers scored 1 in the top of the 7th, and Hoban couldn't come back one more time. Final line there was 4 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for Perry, 3 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for Hoban. We'll look at their lineup first for the Knights. Their leading hitter was Sidney Conti, who went 1 for 3 with a run scored and 2 RBI on the day. She had a great day at the plate, the only 2 RBI for the team. She also scored a run. Faith Porter pitched pretty well for the Knights, all things considered. Only walked 2, struck out 10, gave up 9 hits and 4 runs. All 4 of the runs were earned in 7 innings pitched. So a great start for Hoban. It was a great softball game, of course. Didn't go the way they wanted to results-wise, but it's early. It's early in the softball season. You're allowed, 27 games for a softball team. So you're one of 27. You fought hard against a regional powerhouse in Maslin Perry that's always good, plays in the Federal League. This is going to be the story of Hoban's softball season, and I'm hoping to talk to Coach Kevin Yun very, very soon about his program. But this is what they're going to be. They went to the regional finals last year, lost to a tri-way team that went all the way to state. A very good tri-way team that sent a couple of players to Power 5 colleges. So this is a team that's knocking on the door for regionals last year. They're bringing a lot of people back from last year. They feel like they can get to Firestone Stadium. They really do. And shocker, here's another Hoban team coming down the barrel of possibly competing for a state championship. This is a very good softball team. I can't wait to talk to Coach Yun about their program, about the roster, about things we should expect from them. But once again, they do fall 4-3 in the first spring final of the season. They were able to play in Akron at about 11 a.m. on Saturday, so their final came in before anybody else. The other game that we got in was on the baseball diamond, and it was in Austintown. And shocker there, their field able to play through some conditions. They were hosting South Range, and they fell to the Raiders by a final score of 9-4. 9-4, your final score. The Raiders' offense really shined bright through the rain and through the clouds. That was the headline. Obviously, it was a cloudy day and dodging raindrops. Their best bat came from Jeffries, who went 2 for 4 with 4 RBI. Great day for him. We look at the recap, and South Range was able to get it from Blake Jeffries. He doubled for his first hit, first pitch of the at-bat, scored a run, and then he continued to supply big hits through the rest of the game. The winning pitcher for South Range was Connor Brogan. We'll look at his line real quick as a pitcher. He pitched 2 innings, gave up no hits, 1 run. It was unearned. He struck out 4 and walked just 1. The Raiders as a team struck out 7. They did walk 6. That's going to be something that Coach Hannock is probably going to look at that game and try to avoid the free passes. You do that to really good baseball teams, eventually it'll bite you. But 9 runs is a great offensive start against a good Austintown Fitch team. You can find a recap of that game and interviews with Jim Hannock and Gavin Nagy for South Range. Both interviewed by Chris Colucci, who got his debut as an announcer for South Range baseball. So he did a great job. So did Jimmy Powell. Congratulations on them for their first YSM broadcast. Want to give them a shout out. Good job. And wonderful interviews as well in the post game. They're going to continue to do great work for South Range Athletics for us throughout the spring season. Look out for their voices if you're a Raiders fan in the spring sports. So those are your 2 scores over the weekend. Once again, Hoban softball falls to Maslin Perry 4-3. South Range baseball beats Fitch 9-4. We're going to take a quick break. On the other end, we will hear from the head coach of the Columbiana softball team, Daryl Kurtz, on Running Point, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a bit, everybody.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
I don't know about you, but some days that Ice Energy commercial just snaps different, and I'm just sitting here banging to it like, but oh wow, welcome back to a Monday episode of Running Point. Anthony Hartwig with you as always. We're brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. It is a Monday. It's a gloomy Monday, a little bit of rain. We're dodging raindrops right now, trying to get the spring sports opening day kicked off. But a little bit of rain to dodge today. At the end of the show, we'll go over what is happening, what isn't happening as far as the spring sports today. But first, I want to get to the interview section of the show, and we are going to hear from Daryl Kurtz, the head coach of the Columbiana Clippers softball team, looking for an EOAC championship. They are back-to-back champions. They shared 2 years ago. They won it outright this year, looking to make it a three-peat in the EOAC. But they're also looking for a much deeper tournament run than last year. So let's hear from Coach Kurtz what they expect from this year, how they replace some key members of that softball team that graduated, and what their prospects will be inside that EOAC. Here's Daryl Kurtz, the head coach of the Columbiana softball. Anthony Hartwig here with another spring sports preview. We're going to be joined today by the Columbiana softball head coach, Daryl Kurtz. Daryl, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, pleasure to be here as always, Anthony. Anytime I get a chance to talk about the girls, I'm going to take it. So,
the first thing we like to do is kind of have the late exit interview last year and talk about some of the things that you guys did really well last year that you can kind of reflect on and bring into this season, and some of the lessons maybe that were learned from last year's team. What do you think of how the season went for you guys last year, and what are some of the things that you can carry over into this season for your squad?
Yeah, so, obviously our first goal every year is to win the OEAC outright, which we did last year. The year before we shared with Lisbon last year, we won an outright, which is our first goal every season, as it will be this year. Unfortunately, though, we didn't go on that deep playoff run like we had wanted. We ran into a tough team in the first round, and unfortunately, our season ended there. We had three seniors last year. Obviously, we have big shoes to fill. Tori Long was an excellent pitcher for us last year. Losing her is big. She threw close to 70 innings for us in the circle, so we're going to miss her. She's at IUP pitching this year. We're super excited about that. I know we're planning to go see her here in the upcoming weeks. Julia Rapp was another a player that played for all 4 years in center field for us. She's at Cleveland State running track, so we're going to miss her. And then my other senior that we graduated was Audrey Smith, and she caught basically every game over the last 4 years for us. So I mean, every team talks when you lose your catcher, you're not pitching, and your center fielders, you have some big holes. But we're excited about this year. We have some girls coming in. We have some girls returning from last season, had excellent freshman campaigns. So we're excited, to get these games underway. We only have one senior this year. We're young, which I think is a strength for us, because we know we're going to have some girls for a couple of years here as we continue to build this team up.
Coach, let's introduce ours to this roster. I want you to go kind of up and down the list and some of the players that the Columbiana fans should be familiar with this year.
Yeah, so I'll start behind the plate, with the catcher. Like I said, obviously we're going to miss Audrey Smith, who did a lot for us back there, but we have a couple girls that we feel like we can fill that spot. Cameron Perkins last year, she was our third baseman. She started every game at third base. She's going to move behind the plate for us. She does a great job back there defensively. She's improved so much. And she's swinging a really hot stick right now too. In our scrimmages, we're excited, about what she'll be able to do behind the plate for us. We also have a transfer, Brooke Yoder from Boardman. She's going to get innings back there for us. Obviously, with the restrictions, she's going to play half the season, but we're definitely going to work her in behind the plate. I also have a freshman back there, Gabby Spooner. She can kind of play all over the place. She can play, she can catch, she can play middle infield, third base, center field. But as far as behind the plate, those are the three girls that we're going to, throw out there. And I feel like we have an opportunity to be really good behind the plate this year. Pitching in the circle, obviously Caitlin Pleska's back. I mean, she was an all-Ohio player for us last year. She threw about 50 innings last season. We want to up that to probably like 70. So she's going to have her opportunities in the circle. When she's not pitching, she'll play shortstop for us. She's an excellent defender, like unbelievable hands. And obviously she can swing the stick, 10 home runs last year. She has our team record. We also have a freshman that I want to try to get in there, get some innings. That's Peyton Stoy. She can really spin it. Her biggest thing is going to be attacking the strike zone and throwing strikes. I feel like when she's out there in the circle for us defensively, I mean, we're really sound. Also, on the mound, obviously, we returned Mackenzie Gamble, who was an all-district player as a freshman, and we're super excited to have her back with us. She's worked really hard, and it shows. And I think between her and Caitlin Pleska, we're going to be able to get a lot of quality innings. Mackenzie will play third base when she's not pitching. Pleska will play shortstop when she's not pitching. And then kind of the floater will be Marin Hepler, who was an all-district player for us last year. She hit like 460, on base over 500, and whoever's pitching, she'll replace them in the field. She was our second baseman last year. She has such a strong arm. I'm excited to move her to the left side of the infield, and she can really move around in bunt coverage, and field balls. She's really good fielding balls moving to her left. We scrimmaged tonight. She had a great diving play on a line drive to her right. So, I mean, she's pretty sound defensively, and we're excited about what she brings to the top of our order. Just going around the infield, obviously I want to talk about those holes that we got to fill in center field. I think Gabby Spooner, she has plus speed out there. She really covers ground. She's looked great in our scrimmages. Unfortunately, she rolled her ankle at a play at first base. I mean, she's, we need to get her healthy again. But when she is, she's a versatile kid. I can't wait to see how her bat develops. But I think she can play her all over the place. And then, other girls in returning spots, Ella Doda in left field. She started every game as a freshman. hit like 350, but she has sneaky power. If there's a ball in the inner part of the plate, she can turn on it, and she can hit balls out. Right field, I got Elena Johnson. She's played every game over the last 3 seasons. Second base, she's caught some. Right field, left field. She's kind of settled in that right field spot these last 2 seasons for us. And I don't think I've seen. I know I've said this before. I don't think I've seen her take a bad route to a ball. So she's sneaky fast out there. Instincts really allow her to cover ground in the outfield. I'm at first base. I have another returner, a junior, Ava Devanzo. She's been like our 5-hitter for the last 3 years. So obviously we're excited about what she can do. She's improved a lot at first base, picking and her stretches. She worked a lot with Coach Lib on that aspect of her game. Our second baseman is another newcomer this year, Anna Yonker. She's a transfer from Palestine. So she'll be under some restrictions as well as far as how many games she can play. But she's really good defensively, and at times she can hit line drives all over the field. So we're excited about her and what she brings to the table. Olivia Bell is another player I expect to get at bats. We play around with maybe the DP flex this year, which is something new for us. So there's going to be some at bats to go around, between her, Brooke Yoder, she's not catching. But we have some girls that we feel like have quality at bats and get, find ways to get some more girls involved this year. I also have Maria Malcolmson. She's coming off an ACL last year. She missed a lot of time. Kind of came back maybe the last 2 games last year, which was big for her because, she shows up every day. She works hard. Obviously I was in my accident last year. She was my hands. She helped me with the scoreboard. She helped me fill out lineup cards. Obviously we want to get her involved in games this year. She kind of fits that 4th outfielder spot, with Gabby being down, at scrimmages today, she was able to fill in left field for us, which was big. I also have my lone senior, Madeline Hitchcock. She's a quality at bat. She can play first base and corner outfield spots. And she's really improved over the last, 4 years being a part of our program. And I have some other girls, that are looking to, biting at the chomp to get some at bats. I have Lily Hoshar. She's a big right-hander, basketball girl, volleyball girl. She has sneaky power. I don't even think she understands it, but if she puts the bat on the ball, it goes. I mean, she's, a tall girl, 5'11", 6 foot. So I'm excited about her. She's a sophomore. I have some other girls, Nora Inneman. She's improved quite a bit. She's a sophomore. She can play second base for us and corner outfield. I have Alexis Sperling. She's another outfielder, a freshman, that we're excited to get on the field, and opportunities when they present themselves. And just kind of thinking about it, going around the diamond, I think that's it's pretty much our squad. We got 17 girls this year, 1 senior, 4 juniors, a ton of sophomores, 3 freshmen.
Well, let's take a breath. I know a lot of programs would love to have that kind of numbers and those kind of numbers on their team, especially at your level of softball with your size of school. Before we get into your schedule, I mean, just real quick, what's it mean to you to have so many girls interested in playing softball for you?
Yeah, so we try to make it as fun as we can here. Obviously, we work hard. I have 2 young assistant coaches that are girls. That played softball, college softball. So it's kind of cool for them. Obviously, I never played softball. So I think that's an important aspect, for numbers. It's not I'm not that old just yet, but I think it's good to have young girls, that have played the sport as coaches to interact with the girls. So, we do a lot of competitions. We try to keep it light. We try to keep it loose, like sliding competitions. We done, and then I like to have little trinket rewards, like goofy stuff, like maybe ketchup packets, or creamers that I give out as rewards. We keep it light and we try to have fun. Obviously, we go on a spring trip, so that, I sell that whenever I'm trying to get a girl to come out for softball. Obviously I talk about going to Pigeon Forge and, what that does for our program. Obviously with our length of spring break, it doesn't make sense for us to go to Myrtle, but, last year we made our trip to Pigeon and, obviously it's good softball. You're playing on turf fields, so you're going to play, but it's a great opportunity to get the girls, interacting with each other. And, I wish I had more. I wish I didn't have 17. I wish I had like 19 or 20, and we could play a partial JV schedule. 17 is a difficult number. I'm going to do my best to get everybody involved. I can't guarantee a bass for everybody, but in our conference, I think we have an opportunity to get some girls some time, and we'll take advantage of every one of those opportunities.
Perfect segue. Let's talk about that conference and this schedule. Obviously, the EOAC is goal number one. A lot of people, before the season probably think the favorites go to UN United, with the pitching that both those teams kind of put together. But Lisbon always has a good softball program. I know East Palestine's putting together a pretty good team and building up numbers. What do you think about this league and about this conference and how it's going to shape up this year?
Yeah, so obviously United, I know they're gunning for us. I saw Coach at the coaches clinic, and we had a conversation, and I know that they want to get some payback for us. Obviously we were able to sweep them last season. They have fantastic pitching. They got a lot of girls coming back. The first girl, she can really spin it. And I've heard she's throwing harder than ever. So we're excited for that challenge. We want to play those games. We want, to play tight games. We want to, play the best, the best. We want to see the best pitching, and I want my pitchers to see the best hitters. And right now, I think in our conference, that's United. Lisbon is a big rival for us. Obviously, you got to play the games. You got to show up, and you got to win. You got to play everybody. And I know Lisbon lost some players, so obviously we want to take care of them. But I think right now the top dog in our conference, obviously besides us, is United, and I'm excited. We have them when we get back from Pigeon Forge. So I know that that'll be on the calendar for our girls. Lisbon has always been that rivalry, but it seems like in these last couple of years, United has kind of taken that spot. At least last year. So who knows? Once we start playing the game, somebody else might emerge, but we're excited for every game that we have good weather and can play softball. We're excited for all those games.
Outside of the league, obviously that Pigeon Forge trip is going to give you a lot of high-level softball competition. Who are some other teams that you're going to really test yourself with outside of the conference this year on your schedule?
Yeah, so I know just I just got the schedule a couple days ago for Pigeon. So we played Weir, West Virginia last season, and we're going to play them guys again in Pigeon Forge. And we also played a team from Tennessee, Station Camp, which had a very successful team last year. And we're going to play them guys again. And we have two other varsity games down there for teams that I'm not as familiar with. And actually, I can't even think of them right now. So we're excited for those games. I think it's John Carrollton is the team we're playing down there, maybe Virginia Beach or something like that. But we're excited for those games. Obviously, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. Obviously, we're weird in Station Camp. We do know what we're going to get with those two squads. And as far as non-conference back up here at home, this coming week on Friday, we play South Range. That's a big one for us. Girls are super excited just with the proximity, how close they are. Plus, they're one of the premier teams in our area. Tonight, we were able to scrimmage. We played Champion, another premier team in our area. We had an opportunity to scrimmage them at the Watts Center. We played Girard this year, Howland. We played them in winter ball. We play a tough Brookfield team. We scrimmaged them. We saw them in winter ball. He's got a pretty tight team that he's working with there. We have reserve. We play Salem this week as well. My favorite thing, though, is the teams that we will play that are know this. One of my favorite things is when we have an opening and a game gets canceled. One of my favorite things to do is try to find a game. And, I tell them this up front, make sure you always have your stuff with you, because if we're not playing, I'm looking for a game, and I will try to let them know by like 1 o'clock where we're going and get the parents' directions to a field. But I mean, last year we went up and we played Mentor, one of the biggest schools in the state, to a tough I think it was like a 7-4 or 7-5 loss. So I mean, those are like, we're excited to play any game, but obviously our non-conference, I try to make it as competitive as possible. Last year we played Fitchel. Unfortunately, we couldn't get them on the schedule this year. But yeah, I think it's important to see as much quality pitching as you can leading into the playoffs, and we'll try to do that again this year.
I mean, you look at the schedule; it's harder than I would. My opinion, it's harder than anybody else's in the conference. I mean, you guys are playing almost every team you mentioned is upper division, at least upper from 4. Maybe some Division 3 teams, a couple of Division 2 teams in there as well. What's it mean to this team, especially when you think about the goals past the EOAC, when you're thinking about goals in the district and goals in maybe the regionals, when you can expose yourself to pitchers and defense and lineups that aren't really going to be seen in the Division 4 district?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to pitching. It's really going to come down to pitching. You want to see as much quality pitching as you can. And typically teams that have good pitchers have good defenses behind them for the most part. Their teams are going to be successful. So, I mean, obviously, we want to play up as much as we can. I try to schedule Division 2 teams, or really solid, Division 3 teams that we know are going to have good programs, because we want to see that pitching. I want to, obviously, I want my pitchers to be prepared too. So I want my pitchers to see the best hitters, so that way when we get to the playoffs, the Division 3 playoffs, then it kind of is a little bit easier. But if you look at the teams in Division 3 in our area, I mean, South Range, champion. I believe Poland went down to Division 3 now. I mean, this is very competitive softball. Our area is blessed with really good talent. I mean, you think about the facilities we have in our area. You got athletics, you got sluggers, you got all sports. You have all these facilities that are popping up. A Confetti House just purchased a new building, and they allowed us to practice there this week. So our area, we have all these places to go for 2 reasons. One, because parents are willing to invest in their kids, and 2, because kids are willing to invest their time to get better. And that's why, this area is such a hotbed for softball. It's just sports in general. I mean, obviously in football, we had 2 state champions in our area. Basketball, we have competitive teams, so we want to be at that, we want to improve and get to that next level. And I think playing good competition is the best way to get there.
Coach, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know you have a busy night ahead of you, but I do want to give you the chance to shout out your assistants and the people behind the scenes that are helping you make this Columbiana softball team what it is. We know you don't do it by yourself. We know you have great support systems. So shout out some of the people that are helping you along the way, and some of the people that are making this program great.
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, I know the girls, were bummed out about this. I lost one of my assistants this year, Coach Young. He was a catcher at Findlay, played baseball. He did a lot for our program. He was my field guy, and I didn't have to worry about it. He was down there working on the field. It was his baby. So we were definitely going to miss his back here. She's our pitcher. And Coach Lipp, formerly Coach Lipp, Ohio Columbiana player, Coach McConaughey, like the actor. So she's back with us, being a legend. Coach Bonnie Wilkinson, part of our staff as well. I think about it. Bonnie sees all the things that I miss. Like, there's things that aren't even on my radar. Bonnie's there to help you with. And she does a great job for us. Obviously, our AD, Coach Heasley, she does a great job, putting up with me and all of the demands I have, and trying to schedule games, the day of. My wife's sisters, they come and throw cookies for us. CJ, DD, everybody's involved. I do have a support system. I coach with Coach DeRose at South Range. He always referred to himself as the manager. Kind of like a baseball thing. You have the manager, and I truly am the manager. Obviously, after my car accident, I can't do all the things that I want to do. out there, hitting balls, showing them how I want them to field a ball or whatever it may be. So I rely on my assistants quite a bit, and I put a lot on them. And maybe I don't say it enough, but I'm super thankful for what they do for us.
Coach, thank you so much for the time and giving us a great preview of this Columbiana softball team. We are so excited for another season covering you guys, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon. And hopefully we're talking to you about a lot of the Clippers' success.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much, Anthony. I think it's so cool and unique to our area what you guys do covering softball like this and giving us an opportunity to shout out our teams. And I hope to see you at one of these games doing some play-by-play for us.
You know it. You know it. Am I in that South Range game? If you know me, you know am I in that one.
Good first week game. Yeah.
It's a good one, Coach. We'll see you soon.
Yep. Have a good one.
That was Daryl Kurtz, the head coach of the Columbiana softball team. Looking forward to a great season for Columbiana. They're going to have depth in the circle with Mackenzie Gamble and Caitlin Pluska both towing the rubber for them. They're going to have a great lineup. I think Columbiana is going to be a really, really good softball team. It's going to come down to, honestly, can they get through the gauntlet of the schedule they've put together? Like all this isn't breaking news for softball, baseball programs, but it's about when you stride. Like if you have a barely above 500 season, but you are starting to streak towards the end of it, you can make a tournament run. We've seen that before. Especially if you have a schedule that goes above and beyond what your district is going to put together. Last year, Columbiana had to go up against Gilmore Academy, and they were kind of culture shocked a little bit, and they weren't able to avoid that big inning that is so devastating in tournament softball. So they're hoping to get right back into this district, Division III district tournament and make a big run. Of course, after trying to checkmark that three-peat in the EOAC, it'll be very tough to hold off United this year. We already talked to Coach Zines from United earlier this season. I should say this preview season, and they're going to be very, very formidable right there with Columbiana. Both teams have excellent pitching. Both teams have good bats in lineup. It's going to be fun to watch those two kind of duke it out. And it's funny that Daryl said he's always looking to pick up games because it's a perfect segue to start talking about some schedule changes that we are aware of that we can kind of announce. In the first one, we're going to start with Columbiana softball. It's a great segue. They have picked up a game against Boardman tomorrow. Boardman's game tonight has been canceled, and Coach Moots wants to get his team out there, so they will travel to Columbiana. It'll be Boardman at Columbiana tomorrow, opening day for the Clippers, and Spartans pushed back to tomorrow. But with that being said, let's go over the schedule tonight and see where teams line up and what is and isn't happening. We'll start with what games are canceled tonight. What games are canceled? And we'll start with baseball. Ursuline at Champion is not happening tonight. Warren Harding at Canfield has been canceled. Niles at Girard has been postponed. I'm going to start saying postponed because it kind of, they're going to play these games, especially the conference games. They're going to reschedule them. Cheney at Mooney has been postponed. Jefferson at South Range Baseball has been postponed. Lakeview at Struthers on Scene has been postponed. What is it to say every game at Scene has been postponed? If you were supposed to play at Scene Park, the park's closed. So that is also Heartland Christian at Camel. That one's been postponed. Baseball Hubbard at Poland has been postponed. Maplewood at Newton Falls has been postponed. Southeast at Garfield not happening anymore. Springfield at Jackson Milton postponed. Sebring hosting Waterloo has been postponed. Western Reserve at Middle Ridge has been postponed. Here are the softball games that have been postponed. It looks like Lakeview at Struthers has been postponed for softball. Cleveland Central Catholic at Cardinal Mooney at the Field of Dreams has been postponed. Crestview at Boardman already pulled that one up. Boardman will pick up Columbiana tomorrow on the road. Niles at Girard has been postponed. Hubbard at Poland, we can already officially say that game will be on Wednesday. Poland will be at Hubbard tomorrow. They'll play at home against Hubbard on Wednesday. Springfield at Jackson Milton has been postponed. Conneaut at Lakeside postponed. Brookfield at Salem has been postponed. Canton Central Catholic at Garrettsville Garfield has been postponed. Canton South at West Branch postponed on the softball diamond. Cheney at Campbell Memorial postponed. McDonald at Lowville has been postponed. Middle Ridge at Ursuline at YSU has been postponed. Harding at Canfield postponed. Waterloo at Sebring has been postponed. Now we'll go up to the games that are happening, and we'll go back to baseball. And on the network tonight, 5 o'clock, Howland and Austintown Fitch. Alec Caberna will be on the call as Fitch tries to bounce back from their weekend loss to South Range with their first conference game of the season against the Tigers. Also happening tonight, not on the network though, Edison will be at East Liverpool. Latonia will be at Southern, and Lisbon at United. Those games have still been still on for now. Obviously, still some time for that to change, but as of now, those games are on. For softball on the network tonight, 5 o'clock start time. Lisbon at United is still a go as of now. 5 o'clock, Chris Sigler will be on the call. Howland at Fitch as of now, still a go. 4:30 is the start time for that. The JV game will follow, so that's why they're starting a little bit early in Fitch. 4:30 is your first pitch. Howland at Fitch. Latonia at Southern is still happening on the softball diamond. Louisville was supposed to play at Tuslaw tonight. That game has been moved to at Louisville. So still playing softball as of now, but it now will be a Louisville home game instead of a game at Tuslaw. That's going to be a great game. Tuslaw all the way to the state championship last year in Division III, a very good softball program going to Louisville. And we know what Louisville brings to the table with last year's Offensive Player of the Year, Matty Benson, coming back, as well as Kenzie Denzer, two of the highlight players on that softball team. Brooke Heron, of course, as well. A lot of good players for the Leopards. They're just 3 years removed from a state championship. So, well, I guess you should say 4 years. It's 2023 now. So, those are the schedule updates. We do have some games on the network tonight. As of now, the total will be 3. 3 games on the network tonight. Howland at Fitch baseball will be on the network, and so will Lisbon at United softball and Howland at Fitch softball. Ty Bartell on the call for softball at Fitch. Chris Sigler on the call for softball at United. And then Alec Caberna on the call for Fitch baseball against Howland. For this show, that'll do it for today. I'm Anthony Hartwig signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2, everybody.